Welcome back, everybody. It's the week one review show, and we're going to preview week two. Try and keep it short and concise. But as
It won't
always,
be.
I'm joined by Brett and Jared. Oh, yeah, well, that too.
Always
Yep.
sadness here. Sadness factory.
Mhm.
We're gonna start this week off this show. We're gonna talk. Speaking of Sadness Factory, we're gonna talk about the big injuries from week one. So, Josh, this one's specifically for you. Jordan Love, like at the end of the game,
Yeah.
what was it? Was
Mhm.
it officially an MCL? What was the official injury? I don't know.
It was a sprain.
It's just a sprain.
sprain
yeah,
What's it,
MCL.
3 to 4?
Jordan
MCL?
Love.
Anyway, he's gonna miss like 2 to 3 games at least. I'm surprised, honestly, they didn't put him on IR, but I think that has a lot to do with the fact that their backup quarterback is Malik Willis,
A first round pick.
the biggest first round bust quarterback in recent memory, except for a guy we'll talk about later. That's the only exception right now. But yeah, Jared. While Jared looks up that, the other injury news we have.
Yeah, it's an MCL sprain, by the way.
MCL, perfect. Well, not perfect, but anyway, there were these two happened on Sunday. A couple of tight ends, pretty similar, like sounding injuries, kind of week to week things. David Njoku, a high ankle sprain. High ankle sprains are very weird. Like I was listening to the fantasy footballers, and they said pretty much like sometimes they miss a game, sometimes they miss 3, sometimes they don't miss a game. It's all over the place, and usually though, I'm staying away from those guys after a high ankle sprain if possible. But
Yeah.
we'll
I had
see.
one and it never really ever gets fixed. It's just always lingering.
Yeah, it's like a soft tissue injury, but it's not.
Mhm.
Another one, Jake Ferguson goes down. Now, I'll admittedly say I don't know about this injury, so if either of you want to take over here on Jake Ferguson.
Yeah. I actually don't know what happened to Jakey. I know he got hurt, but I don't
No,
know.
he wasn't targeted.
It was like middle of the game, I think. It was like late second quarter, early third, if I remember correctly. No, I don't
Knee
remember a
injury.
lot about. Yeah, it was a knee. I
Oh,
knew
knee.
that. I didn't remember a lot about that game by choice. Shield your eyes. Honestly, one of those games. Didn't want to look after about the first snap of the first quarter.
I guess he's been diagnosed with a bone bruise and an MCL sprain as well.
If Jordan Love's gonna miss 3 games and he's a QB, I don't know if Ferguson's gonna be back before 3 games either.
They said it's not season ending, but I mean that's not super.
Oh, that's a report you want to hear. Not season ending is not a good thing. Like,
yeah, if I had to guess, 6 weeks would be my guesstimate, because he's gonna have to take a lot of hits. Yeah, I am.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah,
Jared's our injury guy.
Yes, I'm the injury guy.
All right, so since you're the injury guy, how worried are you about Puka Nacua after he comes back from this at least 4 games? This was a reoccurring thing in training camp. Now he re-injures at week 1.
It's definitely concerning. I mean, if he's on your team, there's a lot of concern of like what it looks like in the future. Yeah, I mean, he's on IR, so he's missing 4. It's officially a sprained PCL, but this is again something he was struggling with through training camp.
So they're probably going to be more cautious with him in the regular season.
I would think so too, because he's kind of your future. Because although Cup is good, he's not going to play for more than probably 3-4 years at most.
I would say he'll be elite for at least like this year and maybe next year, and after next year, it's probably just like an average guy, like more of a Keenan Allen type short yardage third downs.
For sure.
Good thing is they have Tyler Johnson and even Whittington, whatever his name is.
Demarcus Robinson, don't forget about him.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And then, of course, CMC, which is maybe the biggest injury news.
And he didn't even play. He didn't even get hurt.
That is true. He just
nobody knew.
Yeah. Couple things with this. He's, I guess, the official diagnosis is Achilles tendonitis, which they say can heighten in certain cases the chance of a Achilles rupture. Which obviously, so I think they'll be cautious with this. There's also just another side note on this. The NFL currently has no indication that the NFL will investigate the CMC injury designation. So apparently they're not even going to look into it.
Okay, so for those that aren't familiar, if anybody watching is not familiar, it was like an hour, maybe 2 hours before Monday Night Football. They announced that Christian McCaffrey was going to miss the game. And it was like, what? This came out of nowhere. And then after the game, Jordan Mason, the backup running back, has a monster game against the Jets. After the game, in an interview on the field, he says that he knew he was going to be the starter Friday, and he's been preparing all weekend to be the starter Monday night. Obviously, that's illegal. The NFL doesn't like that because they're so attached to betting and fantasy football and all that stuff now that like injury designations are huge. And there was a team they investigated last year for this similar thing. Was it the Bengals or the Ravens?
It was the Bengals, I thought, for Joe Burrow. Wasn't it?
That's what it was. It was the Bengals for Joe Burrow not reporting an injury. So there was a lot of speculation they would investigate the Niners. It was a weird situation. You could tell Jordan Mason in the post-game interview on the field was like super happy, excited. Obviously, he just had the game of his life. And then in the post-game press conference in the media room, he looked like somebody stole his soul.
Yeah.
Not good.
He got chewed out for that. I know it. It has to. I feel bad for the guy. He has that game, and then his coaching staff probably ripped him a new one about telling the media more than they should know.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a tough situation to watch. But anyway, we're going to move from injuries being the sad news to actual just terrible fantasy football performances as the bad news. We're going to start at the wide receiver position. There were many of them this week. Marvin Harrison Jr., four targets, 1 catch, 4 yards. I'm
wide open a lot.
I'm depressed. On the Cardinals' final drive where they were trying to tie the game, Kyler Murray missed him where he had about a 20-yard window, super tight. Hard to make that throw, obviously, but 20-yard window that probably would have ended up being like a 30, 40-yard touchdown for Marv. Anyway, a terrible game for Marv to start his career. Then we've got another receiver. One of Devin's popular ones, and we'll get into his review in a little bit. But Brandon Ayuk has a pretty terrible game in week 1. He dropped the touchdown pass right through his hands. That would have obviously made a big difference because I think it was like a 15-yard catch too. So there's that. Chris Olave, Ohio State receivers this week. Not great, Bob.
Yeah, although the Saints put up 47 points.
There's 2 sides to this Chris Olave coin after week 1. On one hand, they scored 47 points and didn't need Chris Olave. On the other hand, they were up by like 3 touchdowns by the end of the first quarter, and they didn't need Chris Olave. It's just where you land. Amari Cooper, terrible game. A lot of it was the bad quarterback play for Watson. But Cooper did drop a long touchdown pass late in the game. It was in garbage time, but it still would have counted for fantasy. It was a long ball from Watson, and Cooper probably should have scored a touchdown. Jared,
need to put a little more effort in.
Yeah. It really was just a lack of focus. Jared, you want to take it from here?
Yep. The one that hurt me the most, because I literally own him everywhere, and that is Amon-Ra St. Brown. I have him in so many leagues. It's not even funny when I look through it. Obviously, the league I care about the most being the league we're speaking about, Potato. I don't even know his stat line. Was it 4 catches for like 14 yards? I don't even know. It was a bust for sure.
I thought it was 3 for 13.
3 catches for 13. Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously not great. And then another guy, Raheem Mostert, who I don't know that I expected to have a huge game, but that was just a bad game. Especially for as much of the game as he was in was the most upsetting part. It was like a 50-50 split. And
I'll jump in right here. It was a 50-50 split early, but he did leave this game with an injury designation, and
Yeah.
he's not playing on Thursday night. A little bit
Yeah.
of a sneak preview there. So I'm guessing this has more to do with an injury than we want to let on. But
Yeah.
it was kind of surprising to see how little he was involved.
For sure.
But he is also 80 years old, so
That is true. He is
Brett,
85 years
since
old.
you're the tight end king, Brett, go ahead and
Oh.
take away. Let's talk about these bad tight
I
ends.
like that title. So Ingram, I don't know any of these guys' stat lines. All I know is Ingram was like non-existent. He might have had one catch total.
Yeah, not good.
On an offense that really their top receiver is a rookie, which he popped off.
He went
but
1 for 5, by the way.
yeah, I watched some of the highlights. I don't know. He had a bunch of drop balls too, which so I don't know. Ingram's supposed to be one of those top tight ends, but
yeah, I'd say lower end of like startable in his 12th team.
Yeah, like right below like the elite, so like right below like a Kyle Pitts when you're drafting type. But then to talk about two guys that sometimes went in the first and second round, Kincaid and Andrews.
Yeah.
Kincaid, that one was surprising to me because Buffalo doesn't really have any receivers.
Or so we thought. Mac Hollins and Khalil Shakir, man. Elites.
Right. Two guys that were always like wide receiver 2, 3 backups.
4 or 5 is more like.
I would say Mac Hollins like wide receiver 6 on most rosters.
Right. But when you got Josh Allen at the helm, anyone can be a good receiver.
Yeah.
Except for Kincaid, I guess. And Andrews likely just took all of Andrews. The Ravens didn't even run any plays to Andrew, it seemed like. I don't know what they were trying to do.
Well, if you actually go back, like if you watch the All-22 film, it's pretty obvious what was going on with Mark Andrews. If he ran more than 5 yards past the line of scrimmage, there was 3 Chiefs defenders in a triangle around him. They were not going to let Mark Andrews beat them, and they didn't. They almost let Isaiah Likely beat them. They were, a toe tap away from going to overtime, but
Right.
No, they were going for 2.
That's true. That's true. They were going to go for 2, and they probably would have failed. But
yeah, knowing the Ravens, they would have failed that. They would have went for 2 and failed.
Yeah.
Even the other 2 top tight ends that aren't listed, Kelsey and McBride, they got barely anything too.
Yeah,
I don't know if the defenses are like hyper coached.
And McBride was like 5 catches for 30 yards or something like that. Like neither one of them had good games either. But
I mean, literally, the best tight end that was started in our league was Brock Bowers.
His first career game.
And he caught 6 passes for 58 yards, and that was the number 1 scoring tight end that started. So, I mean, that tells you how the tight ends went this year or this week. I mean, it's not like the only like solace that you have in this week 1 tight end situation is literally
none of them were good.
Likely, unless you had Isaiah Likely playing, it didn't matter. Like no one had
there's two ways to look at that also. Like, they were all bad. It's fine. My elite tight end will bounce back next week. Or, great, I didn't draft an elite tight end. They're never going to be good.
Yeah.
Sure. So anyway, moving on from one onesie position to the other, or at least, well, in our case, it's a super flex league. But we got some quarterbacks, a couple main names. Dak Prescott. This one, not at all his fault. This was just the Browns were, let's just say they're called the Browns because they crapped the bed. That's about it. They didn't need Dak to throw the ball. And he did. Justin Herbert, this one's a little concerning to me just because he hasn't been good for fantasy since his rookie year, and now he rough week 1 to start this year. I know new coaching staff, lack of weapons, but it's still slightly concerning to me.
I wouldn't want to have him on my dynasty team. It would be. I don't know that it's going to get better. He might have he's going to have a touchdown or 2 and 170 to 220 yards. I don't think you're going to get 303.
It's crazy to think though that at the end of 2022, whenever I traded Justin Herbert for Watson in a first, the most valuable piece in that deal is going to end up being the freaking pick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like 2 years later. Anyway, Another one. This one's not super concerning to me because he did this last year. Joe Burrow, and I know last year wasn't a good year from him. I think this is more a lack of not having T. Higgins. Jamar Chase is held out, so he's getting back into the swing of things. But the Bengals
I
looked like
disagree.
they were missing Joe Mixon a lot last
I
week.
disagree. I saw some like reviews of the games, or that game specifically, and he was doing his thing with his hand. I don't think his hand's better yet. Like you can see on the sideline after some plays, he's
Are you
like
talking
trying
about a
to
water bottle clip?
grip, and then the heaviest water bottle in the world
So
thing.
I'm on the other side of the coin with that one. I saw him pick that up, and I was like, oh, he's just switching the grip to drink the water. But I know a lot of people are like concerned that clip is like what people are pointing to. Oh, he's hurt. I'm like,
Right. That wasn't the one I saw. I actually saw like after a play in the huddle, he's like trying to like get his grip back and things like that.
just like
So
he's
I think
feeling it.
yeah, I don't think he has completely recovered, or maybe he did something to it again.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's one of the problems with not practicing until the week before or not playing football is you can't take a physical hit and then you do it week one and then people get hurt. Like that's the issue with that. So
That's fair.
we'll see.
Thing to keep an eye on that.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely had an injury issue, I would say. I heard someone say something the other day about Justin Herbert about Joe Burrow that I maybe agreed with more than I'd like to say is that he's closer to Dak Prescott than he is Josh Allen, and he always has been.
But Jared, he's 5-1 versus Allen and Mahomes. Jared, he's 5-1 versus Allen and Mahomes.
Yeah, I don't want to believe that, but now that it's played out a little bit, it seems like that's the case. He is closer to Dak Prescott, which is not saying he's a bad quarterback.
Joe Burrow's been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Dale, stats don't matter.
No, it's only the imaginary ones, like
That's
Super
right.
Bowls.
What?
Stats don't matter.
Just the Super Bowl.
You have the leading sack, and you won't get the defensive player of the year. You know,
Well,
how it goes.
No, let's get off a negative note. Let's be more positive here, guys. Let's look at the bright side of things, if you will. We got some surprises at the running back position. You know, we hinted at this earlier, but Jordan Mason, absolutely monster game. I guess he had 3 days to prepare to start the game, or was it only 1 hour? We'll never know. But
Apparently,
congratulations to Jordan Mason. Now, knowing Kyle Shanahan, though, I just want to say this. I don't like in the past, like remember like Ayuk's rookie year where he like didn't play at all, or is it the second year? And it was like this weird thing where he was in the doghouse with Shanahan. I wonder if they'll like turn to a different running back next week because of the comments Jordan Mason made. Because Kyle Shanahan is definitely that type of coach where he's like, you're gonna learn your lesson the hard way, even if it makes the team worse for 1 week because which is that good.
yeah.
We'll see.
It's a weird thought. I haven't heard anyone else say that, but that's just what goes through my mind whenever that whole thing happened. But Alexander Madison, he was an absolute terrible player for the Vikings last year. Goes to the Raiders. He looks like their pass catching back, third down back, and he had a lot more snaps than Zamir White did also.
Yeah, Zamir White did not look very good, in my opinion.
No.
So
very inefficient, very lackluster. Week 1 for Zamir. And this one, he didn't have a huge game, but I'm just more putting him on here because he's in a timeshare, and apparently his quarterback plays for the Chicago Bears. But Tony Pollard had a pretty good week 1. He just had a lot more opportunities than Tyjae Spears, and I thought it was going to be a lot more of a 50-50 committee type situation, so something to look and pay attention to. Obviously, at the tight end position, there's really only one surprise. It's Isaiah Likely.
Yep. Ruined my fantasy league. I mean, I actually would have still lost. So
he ruined your week by being the tight end 1 on the week. How crazy is that thought?
Yeah.
But you were the favorite in the matchup. You played the more safe tight end option rather than the guy that could, do exactly what Likely did.
Yeah.
It didn't work out, but
Yeah, but I still would have been 6 points shy if I started him. So
yikes.
if him and Ramondre would have won me the week, but that's football or fantasy football.
True. We're gonna again jump from tight ends to quarterbacks. I want to mention Jaden Daniels. I know he's expected to be the rushing beast in his rookie year and not a great passer. 17-24 against a pretty solid Bucs defense kind of surprised and impressed me. And then 88 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, kind of what we expected from him. So that was the big quarterback surprise of the week, except for the quarterback on the other side, Brett.
Yeah, my boy Baker. I've been saying it. He's gonna have an MVP season one of these years. This could be it. Start off on the right track. Finished QB2 this week. Ooh, I guess Allen would have been QB1, right?
Yeah,
most likely. And then
That's not a
Derek Carr
surprise.
QB3.
That's one. Yeah, Derek Carr. That's the surprise of the week. I think that I was missing.
Yeah, but Baker 24 for 30, 289 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
I
he had a
personally
week.
I personally think this has more to do with the Commanders' defense than Baker Mayfield and the Bucs offense. But time will tell.
Maybe.
And congratulations, Baker, on a good week 1. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you don't have many more of those.
Just wish he comes back to Cleveland.
No, I do not wish.
You guys need a quarterback.
Shut up, please. Yeah, Derek Carr. He had a bomb touchdown to Rashid Shaheed, who again
He always says.
It just seems like I heard somebody else say this too. It just seems like Derek Carr and Rashid Shaheed are best friends off the field, and Carr just once a game he's out there somewhere and just chucks him the ball and go get it. Shaheed's good at tracking him down. So yeah. With those being out of the way, we'll go to the matchups from last week. And looking at last week, it's nothing too terribly surprising, I don't think. But was there anything in this matchup, this Clint and Moss game, that you guys wanted to draw attention to? Anyway, Deebo Samuel and Mike Evans were pretty good this week. Stafford was decent, but honestly, Clint didn't have a bad game. None of his players had huge weeks, and Addison, Sutton, and Andrews kind of sunk him here. And on the side of Moss, on the side of Kumpf, Carr with a huge game. Elliott had a good enough game, Chris Godwin, Geno Smith, Eckler, and Pollard kind of did their thing, get what you need to get. He pulled it out.
Yeah. I was surprised by the results of this one.
Yeah,
I mean, if you look at the board, I mean, it makes more sense. Like you said, with Derek Carr scoring like he did, and then some of the letdowns like Addison and Sutton, and on the other side, it makes sense. And even Henry, I felt like was a letdown. Like 10 points isn't terrible, but the way he started that game, you would have thought that Derrick Henry ended up with 20 plus for sure. But yeah, it was kind of surprising that Kumpf started 1-0, but we'll take it.
I shout out Patriots defense on the bench. Really,
yep, 13 points. Outscored his
the Patriots
I did call
defense.
It, didn't I?
The Patriots defense is instilling a winning culture for Kumpf.
That's
I like the vibe.
It's crazy.
Brett, you have any unique thoughts on this game?
Well, I mean, I forgot about that, but I did call that last week.
You did.
Defense might get them that win. But yeah, I mean, if Derek Carr plays like that every game this year, he could probably sit the rest of his team and contend.
All right, now moving on. We've got Josh and Adam here. Anthony Richardson. Holy cow. Adam had 150 points, and half of them came from Barkley and Richardson. And this is kind of what we talked about with Adam's team. He has guys, those two, and Lamb and Kyler. Those are his 4. if he gets all 4 to fire off on the same week, he can score with the top teams. Here he got 2 of them to fire off, and he, the rest of his team scored less than half of what they did. So, he's gonna need a lot more from those two. If he moves a first to go get a flex position player, Adam could be a surprise team if he makes the right moves, pulls the right strings.
Yeah, so the exact math on that is that Anthony Richardson and Saquon scored 81.2 of his points.
Which is more than half.
So, which is more than half.
It's like 60%.
The rest of his team only scored 67 points. So, crazy week by AR and Saquon. I almost brought him the whole way home, but did not quite make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then obviously for Josh's team, now he's got some injuries to deal with. You got Love.
Yeah, the Love injury hurts Josh more than just Jordan Love. Because that's going to hurt Jaden Reed.
Jones has a mental injury.
Yeah. Well, he should come get Russell Wilson.
Josh has Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs. And those are like 2 guys he's considering to put in his lineup every week. Either one for the other or both. But now without Love, like you can probably play Reed. They're going to get him touches. But if Malik Willis starts, I don't think you can play Romeo Doubs or Christian Watson. Like, the only Packers I would be playing would be Jaden Reed and Josh Jacobs without Love. And it's rough to say that, but
I didn't realize how crazy his bench went off. That's crazy.
Yeah, J-Mo and Rashid.
Yeah, that's insane. Alec Pierce got the long touchdown from Richardson. Shaheed got the long touchdown from Carr. Jameson got the long touchdown from Goff. So, that's kind of Josh's team.
I see what happened, though. Badham didn't start the Vikings defense.
Yeah.
They would give him 21 more points.
That's what threw it.
Yeah, it is what it is, I guess. You live and you learn. But he tried the same thing as Kump. It just, he played a better team this week. Unfortunate for him. This to me is the surprise of the week. If there's a surprise team, it's definitely Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Now, we thought he had a pretty good contending roster, but I don't think any of us thought it was 200 points good contending roster.
No.
Now, Baker's not doing that again. Baker, if he does, it's going to be more on the back of a long touchdown somewhere. I don't know if 4 touchdowns is crazy.
Touchdown, baby.
Achane got 7 catches. I love Achane this season. He's got the veteran receivers here. Joe Mixon, by the way, holy cow, did they feed him the ball?
Yeah, that was crazy.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but Diggs averaged 1 air yard per catch. Which air yards is just how far past the line of scrimmage you were when you hit the ball. And he had 2 touchdowns, and they were both 1 yard throws. One was on a slant, one was on an out route. Stroud just hit him at the goal line. But yeah, JGF, huge week 1.
Right. Yeah. I think the main thing that we were always talking about is once you get past his starting lineup, his benches.
There's nothing.
The issue. And he's gonna start testing it out. Then Njoku going out this week.
Hey, Tucker Kraft did look like he was the primary tight end for Green Bay, but
yeah,
they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Jared, is there anything you want to mention here? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is I'm hoping that George Pickens becomes the new DJ Moore. Yeah, just that random long balls because that's all he got. So we'll see how it goes.
Sure he does.
Although DJ Moore is
interference.
The only the thing difference is DJ Moore did a lot more screen passes than I feel like Pickens gets, but he did get a couple.
That's a good thing though, because screen passes to wide receivers are stupid. Anyway, Disco had a disappointing week, but he also didn't have CMC. So if CMC played in that game, he might have scored 75 points.
Right.
Now, Jared, what happened?
A lot of things happened. Mostly start decisions, but then just some disappointing games. My most impressive game on my roster was Tua, which isn't that surprising. It's week 1. He usually
Isaiah
does well.
Likely.
Well, I was mostly talking about
Your
my
starters.
starting.
Gotcha.
Yeah, obviously Isaiah Likely took my soul too, but Tua always does early. Um,
That was
Brees
all in
Hall
the
did
second
well.
half too, by the way.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, Brees Hall did really well. I thought Josh Jacobs, although that's not a crazy game, I feel like
Good enough.
I feel a lot better about him now than I did last week. Personally, especially because they just lost their
No,
quarterback.
I
so
was
run,
higher on
run,
Jacobs
run.
than you, but I'm kind of like nothing really changed for me. I kind of view Jacobs as the same way I still do. Although
Yeah,
I think now he's got a lot more upside in the receiving game because Malik Willis probably can't throw the ball more than 5 yards downfield accurately.
yeah.
And I was
But
actively trading for him over the
Yeah.
offseason, so I'm high on him too.
Yeah. So truly, my letdowns, I feel like more than anything, other than start-sit decisions, were my two wide receivers that I expect to score 40+ points for me every week. That both
40
those-
every week.
not individually, combined.
Oh,
combined.
come on.
Oh
I
my
expect
goodness!
to get
I
40
was.
points. No, I expect to
That's
get
Like,
40 points
acceptable.
out of Amon
I need a
Yes.
Ra
new game
Yes.
plan.
and Jamar
Jared.
Chase. So getting 16 from them is a little disappointing. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amon St. Brown will bounce back.
Chase is a little scary though. I don't know.
Let's just give Hunter his flowers here.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson did what he's supposed to do. Cook and Etienne, neither one of them were super impressive. Etienne fumbled and kind of didn't see the field after that. They were running Tank Bigsby ahead of him after the fumble, which is what they did to Tank Bigsby last year. Whenever he'd fumble, Etienne just got a lot more involved. So just the Jaguars coaching staff, it's something to keep an eye on if he either deals with fumbles throughout the season or if they just if Tank is going to be more involved down the stretch now. But James Cook, 22 touches. That is a big workload, I think, for what I thought they were going to do.
Cook always does that though.
Tyreek Hill,
But most of the time it's like receptions, not necessarily the carries.
Yeah, 19 Ks was kind of surprising. Tyreek Hill got pulled over for speeding, and unfortunately for the Jaguars, he still played in the game. Absolute monster game. He had another long touchdown because, of course, he did.
That's his longest ever, by the way. Did you know that?
Was it really? Wow.
Yeah.
And it was only like 30 air yards down the field. The rest of it was all Tyreek running.
Yeah, it was crazy. Still so quick for his age, honestly.
People always talk about game-breaking speed. No one has game-breaking speed in the NFL except for Tyreek Hill. He's the only guy I've seen run away from defenders all the time. He's done it for 6 years now.
They get better angles and they still lose.
He's the only guy in the NFL I've seen do that. Nico Collins, just ho-hum, 100 yards, 6 catches. Big.
He could have had a touchdown. That would have been nice, but
hey, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, that's fair.
Kamara did what he wanted to do. He was pretty efficient. It was the Panthers. 5 catches in this game script was crazy. I mean,
but last year didn't he have like an 11? Wasn't it like an 11 reception game?
The first game after his suspension last year, he had 13 catches for 33 yards.
Yeah.
But
monster.
And this week they're playing the Cowboys. I think Derek Carr's going to be under pressure, and he's going to be getting that safety valve a lot more this week.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see how that plays out with Hunter, but he starts out 1-0. This was the close matchup of the week last week. We had a couple good ones, but this was one that we were kind of split on. Ross ends up taking it a lot because Brett didn't put Xavier Worthy in the lineup.
Yeah, but I also didn't think
you had a chance.
Odunze was going to be terrible. Kincaid was going to do nothing.
Yeah.
Watson, I should have expected Watson to do nothing. But
Watson and Herbert were pretty close. You can't say Watson did nothing. Okay.
Yeah, but I stripped my team down to be with an anchor of Watson, and that was absolutely the wrong choice by me. So I'm kind of dealing with it.
It's a rusty anchor.
Yeah, but my surprising one was Aaron Jones. He looked like he's going to be.
Jones.
Well, I mean, he's got Sam Darnold, so of course, he was going to get a lot of rushes, but um, I don't mind him even catching some passes out of the backfield. I think he's going to be a pretty key factor with the Minnesota offense. So I'm excited
Yeah.
for that.
Cooper Kupp.
But yeah, I just lost. That's it.
Kupp, big game. And Puka
Because
went
Puka
down.
went.
So we'll see.
All right.
We'll see what happens down the stretch. Brandon Cooks looks like the clear number 2 in Dallas. Rushy Rice looks like the clear number 1 in Kansas City. I mean, Ross might have a team here.
He might.
He needs to figure out that RB2 situation. Maybe he has.
Yeah.
Maybe the answer is on his bench. He's got a lot of options. Not a lot of them are high quality, but he has options.
Yeah, I feel like both of us had like the whole team just randomly was good, and then others were randomly bad. Like it was like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like I did terrible and then the other team did amazing. It was a weird,
And
even
no one had
even
a
though we
crazy
both
high
sucked,
score.
it was
Neither
still a close
player.
matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neither
So.
team had a player that had a super crazy high score. I mean, Cup had 35, but that's not insane for a scoring format.
My taxi, I think, might have more points than, or probably more than half of the points that I actually scored.
Probably not far off, but you can update us here in a minute. This one was fun. This was me and Devin's matchup. Came down to Monday Night Football because he had 3 49ers on this team. I'm not gonna lie. When it was announced CMC was out, I was shaking in my boots. I thought there's no way I pulled this out. I think I was up like 20 something points with Garrett Wilson playing against Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Ayuk. I was like, there's no chance. There's no chance. I was sweating the whole game. The Jets' third drive of the game, because the first one was a 3 and out. The second one, Brees Hall fumbled. The third drive, they got Garrett Wilson involved early and often. It was like every third down. That's what it seemed like. So they get to like 3rd and 7. They had like 2 or 3 3rd and 7s on this drive. And they get to Garrett Wilson and he hit him for like an 8, 9, 10, 12-yard pass. And Garrett Wilson had like 40 yards receiving that drive. Pretty much did nothing outside of that one drive. 6 for 60 was his line. Anyway, the Jets lost. Good for them. But Aaron Rodgers survived week 1, so Jets fans, congratulations. You still have a quarterback. Josh Allen did his thing.
I think it's more that, like, Purdy, he didn't do terrible. He just didn't have to do anything. Which, so like 10 points from Purdy was kind of shocking to me.
Yeah,
without like interception and a fumble and
we talked
all that.
We talked about Ayuk's drop touchdown on our busts. That play was the difference in this game. That's like 12 points for Devin if that's caught. And it wasn't. And that's the difference here. My team, I feel like it stunk. We'll get a little more into that here in a minute. Anyway, after all that, we're going to go ahead and talk about our matchups for week 2. So starting us off, Brett, let's go ahead and... Oh, wait. No. First of all, we have Brett and Jared. This is interesting. Polar opposites here. You got a good NFL quarterback, bad NFL quarterback at the top. I'm just gonna make this short and sweet. There's no way Jared loses this game. Like, there's no chance. There's no chance the defending champ comes into this season and loses 2 in a row to Hunter was a projected contender. Brett is very much, rebuilding, we'll say. A lot of rookies, young talent. Deshaun Watson, so trash. There's no way he starts the season 0-2. Jared is 100% taking this game. I don't know what Sleeper's doing with 73 or 67%. Sorry.
He's really jinxing you, Jared.
I know. I'm a little nervous now.
I'm not jinxing anything. I'm just saying that there's no chance Jared loses this game.
There's no chance.
Jared has this in the bag. Do either of you disagree?
I don't, but the confidence that you said no chance makes me nervous now.
We'll just have to wait and see.
Yes, we will.
Well, you're nervous about this matchup. So, Brett, stay your case here. Why do you think Ross is going to pull off the perceived upset over Hunter here?
Let me find the matchup.
Jared and
Okay,
I have
all right.
both predicted Hunter in this matchup. Brett is predicting Ross, and why is that?
Yeah, so my thing is, like I talked about earlier with the Burrow, I think he's still injured. I don't think he does well at all. And there's no like if I had Burrow, I would be
Telling.
trying not to start him. But the problem is there's no second quarterback to start
Taysom
on that
Hill.
roster. Yeah, oh, that's true. Maybe I'd slot in Taysom Hill. That and then like Keenan Allen's dealing with an injury. He didn't do much in the first game.
Well, none of the Bears receivers did much in the first game.
Right. But then on the other side, just although Herbert sucked week 1 and last year he's facing Carolina.
Juicy matchup.
So there's a pretty good chance that he does at least it might be his like peak of the year just because it's a terrible team. But then also Cup is going to get I'd say maybe 15 targets or receptions even
Whoa.
with Puka out. I don't know. I just feel like there's a chance that Ross's team projects more than what they're leading on at the moment. That's my defense for Ross taking it over Hunter.
I don't hate that. I just Tyreek Hill and Nico Collins. Those are gonna be.
It is scary once you
Yeah.
see Tyreek and Nico. Even Lamar, it's like, well, how could you go against that? But
We'll see.
we'll
We'll
see.
find out tomorrow night, Thursday
Mhm.
Night Football. So now moving on. So from that game, we got Adam and Corey here. Now, Brett and I, we agree on this one. We think Adam's taking this game. So, Jared, what's going on? State your case for Corey here.
So 2 things. I think that Adam's team takes kind of returns to earth. I don't think AR and Barkley will combine for 80 some points. He
But
does have other players that can.
CD.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. My thing with Disco, I think, is based on Christian McCaffrey playing. So if he doesn't play, this is probably cooked. Which
So
it's not.
you're officially on record as saying if McCaffrey's not playing, you're picking Adam then.
He does
Yeah,
have
I would.
Mason.
What? Oh, does he have Mason?
He does have Jordan Mason. Does that actually change?
Oh, I think I'm gonna pick Disco
Straight
straight up. Straight up,
Ooh,
regardless.
spicy.
I think that Kirk Cousins is not a bad quarterback. He just played the best defense in football, obviously.
I agree. 100%. Switch him up.
I think he'll return to Kirk Cousins form. He'll probably throw for 4 touchdowns and 3,000 yards. I think CMC or Jordan Mason, honestly, they're the same player, honestly, in my opinion. Jordan Mason is definitely as good as CMC. And then I think I like Connor. I like I like Montgomery. I like Levis. I've liked Levis for a while. I know that first game was
All right.
pretty awful.
You brought him up. We got to talk about this. The Mayo bet
true.
looks great for me. 3 turnovers, and the Bears' offense didn't score a point, and the Titans lost. This is set up perfectly. Now they play the Jets. Hey, Mason Rudolph, week 3. If Will Levis struggles again, I'm just throwing it out there. But Jared, I'll let you finish. I just wanted to insert that.
I like Will Levis. I like Montgomery. I even like Chase Brown, although it didn't pan out week 1.
At all.
So I don't know. I just have a feeling that this will be the upset this week. There's like 3 players that scare me on Adam's side, and if they don't all score like 20 plus, I think he loses. So
that's fair. I understand, but that's
my
kind
case.
of what we expect from Adam's big 4, big 3, is to score those 20, 30 plus. But yeah. Hey, you stated your case once. Now it's time to do it again because you have Josh taking down our boy JGF.
As he's always been called.
As always, yes.
So this is honestly, maybe a little bit of a
Hopium?
salty pick. Hopium. I think Daniel Jones isn't washed in the sense that I think he has more than 4 points in him this week.
Whoa, that's a bold take.
I know, bold take. I don't think he's gonna go crazy, but I think he's gonna hit his projection. I think he's gonna get 16 points.
Hey, if
He's
there's
gonna get
ever
a
a
long
week for him to go
touchdown.
off, it's the week that he's playing the Washington Commanders.
Yeah,
And he's got Neighbors too. So, like if Jones goes off, it's probably because of Malik Neighbors.
yeah, yeah. So I think Daniel Jones will do better. I think that Drake London will do better. I think Laporta will do better. I like Metcalf. Um,
So this
I don't know.
whole thing is based on Hopium because Josh, as of right now, has not put any of those boomer bust receivers in his lineup.
Yeah, that is true.
He's expressing confidence in his starters, but I don't know.
I don't know. I just think that I don't know that I believe that Joe Mixon and Devon A. Chain can do it again.
No,
I don't. I'm not an A. Chain believer. The best. I mean, I think his best player, honestly, JGF is Baker Mayfield. So
I will say this about JGF's team: if Devon Achan misses Thursday night, I do think Josh wins it. I think it will be close enough to where like if JGF has to go to the bench, he probably loses at least 8 points to whoever he has to go to. And also the tight end situation. If, now Noah Fant's in the lineup right now. So we'll see. I don't think it's a bad prediction from you. I think it is a close game, and we just, we went the other way.
yeah.
Now, we talked about everybody else. Now it's my turn. I'm facing off against Clint, and I lost Puka last week. Marv sucked. I'm a little bit down on my team. I didn't like what JT did. I'm a little worried. Long term, this isn't going to work. I squeaked through week 1, stayed undefeated. I'm already in that survive and advance mode, I guess. But we'll look back at this schedule and be like, oh, that week 1 was so good. I was one of the lowest scoring teams. Lost one of my starters from last week. But I also gained another one, if we're being real. I don't know. I'm just scared of Clint's team, and I'm scared of my team busting. But I do predict Clint to beat me, and maybe this will be some inspiration for my guys in my lineup. Got to be a good coach, Doubt him a little bit of doubt, makes me play better sometimes. It worked for me personally in high school soccer. Very, very relevant to this discussion. But you guys wanna build my team up, pump some confidence in the little boys?
I was gonna build up Clint's team. 'Cause come Sunday, I'll be wearing a T-Law jersey in the stadium, cheering him on, with Dale right beside me.
Wearing Denzel Ward jersey. I will put a 5. I want to do something fun. We need to figure out some kind of bet. If Denzel Ward picks off T-Law, if you're actually gonna buy a Trevor Lawrence jersey, because that would be really fun. If Denzel Ward picks off Trevor Lawrence, we can do a water bet at the hotel or something stupid. So we'll see. So you think Clint's gonna lose it?
What?
What do you think about this matchup though?
The only hole I kind of see is like the McMillan slot. I'm not really sure who I would slot in.
I see a cannonball hole right there in that lineup.
Yeah, but again, it's the person I might put in would be like Adonai Mitchell, but they're both like high upside. Like
just shoot for the stars because you're probably not expected to win.
Yeah, but then also for your team to lose, you'd have to do what happened last week, where all of these young receivers that are supposed to be good just suck.
By the way, Kyler Murray freaking asked about Marvin Harrison only having 4 targets, and he freaking said it's not his job to throw on the ball. I'm sorry, you're the freaking quarterback. Your job's to hit the open receiver, and Marvin Harrison Jr. was open like 4 different times. You need to look at it. Sorry, just. Grr.
Tell me how you really feel.
That was how I really feel. Anyway, now this last one, we got Devin and Robert, or as we call him now, Cumped. So Brett, let's go ahead and talk about Devin versus Cumped in this matchup.
Yeah, so similar to how far percentage wise it's pushed to one side, like Jared's matchup versus myself. Devin has a 63% win chance against Cumped. Yeah, the problem with Cump's team is that Derek Carr isn't going to have the same game he had the first week. And they just don't, the rest of his team doesn't stack up to the entire offense of the Eagles and San Francisco 49ers. And that's pretty much my thought process is you have two of the best offenses jammed on one team versus a bunch of subpar guys on other teams.
Yeah.
And you also have Justin Jefferson on Devin's team, so.
Yeah, he's gonna go off. Although they do play San Fran this week, so that'll be an interesting matchup. They like to take away the number one option, and he definitely is that for his team. Maybe it's a good week for Addison this week with that matchup.
Addison or who's the other one? Naylor?
Maybe.
All right. Now we're done talking about the predictions for the matchups this week. It's time to get into the fun segment, boys. We're going to talk about our bold players from last week first. I'll go ahead and kick us off. I predicted Malik Neighbors would have 7 catches for 150 yards and a touchdown. He didn't have a bad game, but he wasn't anywhere close to that. He ended up with, I believe, it was like 5 for 65, something like that. Let me just go vet that really fast. Neighbors ended up 5 for 66. So not a bad game, especially compared to what Marv did. Neighbors had a good game, but not anywhere close to what he was supposed to do. This week, I'm going a little bit of a different route, a little bit more of a Dale pick. I've loved this guy since he came out. He's been hurt, but when he's been on the field and healthy, we've seen big flashes, including what he did last week. Absolutely ran all over the Raiders defense. Did they play the Raiders?
Who are we talking about? JK?
Yeah, he played the Raiders. Okay, I wasn't wrong. I doubted myself for a second. I'm talking about J.K. Dobbins. My bold prediction, like after what he did last week, you got to go pretty big to get bold. I'm predicting 200 yards and 2 touchdowns from J.K. Dobbins this week. I don't know.
Who are they against this week?
They're playing the Carolina Panthers, who the Saints just beat 47-10, and the Chargers want to run the football. The only way I see him not getting here to 202, injuries, not getting the goal line touchdown opportunities, or 3, they have the backups in the second quarter, and he has no chance to get there. That's my thoughts for my bold player this week and last week. Jared, let's go ahead and talk about your bold players.
Yeah, so my bold player last week was Kyler Murray, and it was a negative bold prediction. I thought he was going to have 3 turnovers. He only had 1, so I did unfortunately miss on that one. But I decided to change it up a little bit, and I have a positive one or a negative, depending on how you look at it.
It's both.
It's both. So we're going to try to hit both sides of it. My bold prediction, although I've been told it's not that bold, I think it is that I think that Bryce Young will have more yards and touchdowns than Herbert, and they're playing each other this week. So that's what it made me think of it. I was just like, a quarterback that's not great versus a quarterback that is maybe great. I guess
You mean a
that's
quarterback that's terrible against a quarterback that everybody thinks is great?
Yeah.
God.
And I just think I actually really like the Panthers coming in this year. So I did. I picked them last week. I picked them last week to beat the Saints. And I thought that the acquisitions in the wide receiver core, that it was going to make the difference and they were going to look good, and they didn't. They looked bad. They
They
looked
have a
probably as
child
bad
for a
as
quarterback.
they probably looked as bad as any team looked, maybe ever in week one. I don't know. Maybe there's worse showings in week one. It was bad. Like Carolina Panthers tickets right now, I've been told are $1.89. Like it's bad.
It costs less than a Starbucks drink to go to the freaking Panthers
Yeah.
game.
But anyway, so I think Bryce Young's gonna show out. He's gonna throw for more touchdowns and yards. I think he's gonna tear it up.
Can we get like a rough stat prediction for both of those quarterbacks now? Since you
Okay,
think
a
Bryce is
rough
gonna
stat?
win in like yards and touchdowns, yeah.
So considering that we just had our worst passing week by average yardage since 2007, which I don't know if you guys knew.
Oh,
The average net passing yards was 188.3 per game. So anyways, I think that the stat line for this would be Bryce Young with 250 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Oh
3
my
touchdowns.
god!
He could have picks. He could have fumbles. I think that's his stat line. And then I think Herbert will be like 170 for like 2 or 1. So that's my
okay. I was the one giving you crap before for saying that's not bold. That might be the hottest take I've ever heard in my life. That's insane. You think Bryce Young's gonna throw for 250 yards?
Yep.
And
Has
3
he-
touchdowns
Has he
And
done
3
that in his
touchdowns.
career?
That's a great question. I
total.
don't know the answer to that.
In total.
Career yards.
He had
Oh,
one. He has one.
312.
He has
312.
one game over 235 yards. Sorry. One game over 250 yards. 2 games over 235. That's wild. You think he's oof? You
Yep,
know,
he's gonna
Hey.
tear it up.
he showed it once. Maybe he can show it again.
Drew Brees. It's Drew Brees incarnate.
Speaking of showing it once and showing it again.
Deshaun Watson.
Wait, what?
No. Allegedly.
Allegedly, of course.
All right. So we'll move on to my bold prediction. So last week, some people might have taken this a little too much to heart, but my bold prediction was Bo Nix with a total of 4 touchdowns. He was only 3 off, so I wasn't that far off. So he threw the ball a lot,
He did.
but he did not do good. He had 2 interceptions.
Hey, Sean Payton's just getting him reps.
Yeah, so to all those people who started Bo Nix because of me, my bad. But
Hey, I started him over Joe Burrow in one of my other leagues, and he actually outscored Joe Burrow. So thank you for that, Brett.
that's true. He did do that. But to go from a full prediction last week to this week, I changed position. And I actually heard about this.
Jared only knows about quarterbacks. That's why that's relevant.
Yeah. But I was listening into like a fantasy football on the NFL Network today about this. And my bold prediction is actually, sorry, I'm using my phone, so it's taking forever. Alexander Madison going for 7 receptions, 125 yards, and a touchdown, at least 1 touchdown. Now, they are facing Baltimore, but the reason I think that he's going to have so many receptions is, one, because last week he came out as obviously the receiving back behind Zamir White. He had 6 targets for 4 receptions and 43 yards and a touchdown. So he's definitely going to be the one catching it. And then the other is with Baltimore with a high-powered offense. I think they're going to be passing the ball a lot. So that's kind of where I get my bold prediction with receiving back a bunch of yards.
Yep.
I don't mind that bold prediction. I mean, obviously it's bold. It's crazy. But is that 125 going to be only in the receiving game, or is that his total yards? What do you think?
That's just a receiving game.
Oh, gosh.
My goodness.
When
That's
has
a
the
lot more
last
spicy
time-
than I
When
thought.
has the last time that a running back has went for 125?
I mean, A-Chain or CMC had to do it last year, right?
125 in the air? I don't know.
A-Chain or CMC had to
condition.
do it last year. It was not A-Chain. A-Chain did not do it last year. I'm going to vet this. Hold on.
It's about to be Alexander Madison after his game.
It's about to be.
So CMC's highest yardage total last year was 72.
I'm looking it up right now. I'm looking it up.
We can kill time talking about the standings after 1 week.
Poll. The most receiving yards in one game by a running back was 213.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. I'm trying to think if these are anyone that
Who's
we
that?
know.
Peterson?
Actually, I lied. This is 1989. Okay. Most receiving
Okay.
yards was by Flipper Anderson.
Flipper,
No joke.
okay.
Who went for 15 catches, right? For 336 yards, according to this. I gotta fact check this. I don't know if I even
That'd be
gave
a
this article.
fantasy. Wow.
I gotta look this up.
CMC who?
While we wait for Jared to pull up actually what
1989.
happened, the week 1 standings. This is why I'm worried about my team. There were 3 teams that lost last week that have more points than me. There were only 2 teams that scored lower than me last week. Brett, apparently fantasy football doesn't run in your family. According to week 1 in Potato. But yeah, I'm concerned about my team. Obviously, JGF got to be feeling real great. We gave him a nickname, and of course he goes out and puts up 200. I'd like to take a little partial credit for that one.
Okay, I got a correction here. That was the most receiving yards by a wide receiver. So the most receiving yards by a running back was by Curtis McClinton in
Terrible name.
1965, who caught 5 balls for 213.
Okay. When was the last time?
He
When was the last
42
time someone hit
yards.
125?
Last time someone hit 125. 2013, Jamal Charles hit 195.
Was that the last one to hit 125?
I don't know. I'm looking. It's not
Okay,
sorting by
gotcha.
date. It's sorting.
Gotcha.
Oh no, that is the last one. The last one is Jamal Charles in 2013.
It's been 11 years. If Brett hits this pick, this show is going viral. I'm posting this on my personal TikTok. If Brett hits this pick, I'm just letting you all know. 11 years since something like that happened. Insane.
Talk about a bold prediction, baby.
That's a bold prediction right there. Anyway, we're gonna cheer for Alexander Madison to have a Flipper Anderson type game, and we'll see you guys next week. Me and Brett will be in Jacksonville this weekend for the Browns game, and hopefully the Browns play less like the Browns and more like a real football team. Peace out.
Yeah. We got nothing this week, Dale.